Welcome to the Superabound podcast, where vision-led entrepreneurs learn to build a generous business without sacrificing what matters most. You are listening to episode 340, using retirement energy in your business.
That's interesting. You're retired, but you're still in it? Tell me more.
So I was having a conversation with one of my clients during their session about the kind of energy that we as entrepreneurs bring in. And it really got me thinking about this idea. And I said, I'm going to record a podcast for you because I have, some philosophical things to bring in that have really helped me go from being a bit of a crazy workaholic, which led to burnout, which was not funny. I don't know why I giggled, but it was intense for a long time. And I've since really broken that habit. And this is how, because we have really shifted some things. And I'm going to call it retirement energy.
I love it. And yeah, I guess that's one of the perks of being a VIP client is you get bespoke content created just for you. So here we go.
Yes, a perk of being one of our clients. If we have something interesting that comes up on your session, I might do a podcast about it for you. So here's the thing. It does sound really weird to say we're bringing retirement energy into a business because what most people think of when they think of retirement, by definition, is that you are no longer working. You are suddenly have gone from like a money making member of society to a leisure person.
Yeah, or checked out comes to mind.
Which is not at all what I mean when I say retired. We know plenty of folks who no longer have a 9 to 5 job. I would consider them retired. They are not maybe the CEO of their business anymore, but they're certainly not lazing around. They are certainly not checked out at all. They are more active. And even for people who are in that category who had traditional jobs, retirement can be a really beautiful thing because suddenly you find yourself with an abundance of time. Hopefully, you have lots of money set aside for it. And you really can get up in the morning and do what you want to do. And this is something that I know scares people. I'm not talking about actual retirement, like in your 70s or whatever, but it's a really interesting thing because I know for myself in my 30s, I thought about that period of time like, what would I do if I didn't have my schedule, if I didn't have a calendar, if I didn't have, my clients or the places I worked telling me where to be and what to do. I would be somehow aimless. I would like lose my energy. I don't know, like it was a really kind of scary thing. And I know it is that for some people, but I think for entrepreneurs, there's something that can be borrowed from the idea of retirement that actually can make your work in the world and the legacy that you're hoping to leave much more impactful right now.
Just a couple of ideas that I want to hone in on. One is doing what you love, and the other is with the time that you have. So often as entrepreneurs, we feel like, well, I've started this thing, I'm in this thing, I now have to do this thing, and I don't have any more time. And so you kind of have the opposite of that. You're doing something you no longer love, and you feel like you don't have any time with which to fix it or to do things that are for you. And so this shift towards retirement energy, I think, could be summed up by what is it that you love to be doing that if you didn't have to work, you'd be doing it anyway? And how do you feel about your use of time? Are you at leisure to do the things that you want to be doing with the life energy that you have? That's kind of the fundamental crux of our book. And, we keep coming back to these ideas because they're so universal and so easy to lose sight of this idea of the vision for your life.
Yeah. And so for me, the way that this kind of took shape was I started by taking Fridays off. I started making Fridays a day that was for my own self investment. In the book, we talk a lot about the tending triad, making sure that you have regular sustaining rituals that support your relationships, your mind, your body, your spiritual life. Making sure that you are doing things that are connected to your big vision. You know, a practice that we talk about a lot is coffee with the oracle, really checking in with your future self and making sure that you are living a life that is oriented towards your vision and not what other people might want you to do, what society might expect of you necessarily. And the final piece of the tending triad is, of course, that personal filter, making sure that you are living according to your vision and your values. You're not letting things that aren't important to you steal your energy. You're not leaking energy on what is not meaningful to you. And unfortunately, a lot of people enter the workforce, whether it's kind of the more traditional, like go get a job type of workforce, or it's create your own business, choose your own adventure entrepreneur type. A lot of us really come in with a mindset that we're going to have to always do a whole bunch of shit that we don't want to do. I talk to entrepreneurs regularly, and I can always tell when someone is following a playbook that they think is necessary to quote unquote do business right. And this is when I like to introduce the idea of what if you were retired? What if, this may not be your reality, but like let's just say for a moment that you didn't have to make the money flywheel turn. What if anything you decided to work on could just be for your own pleasure, for your own vision, because it was meaningful to you in the world? Maybe for you, thinking about this could be like, where do you like to volunteer? Where do you like to spend your time when you're not at your 9 to 5 job or in your own business? When we think about the things that we would do if money and time were plentiful, that is often going to have a lot of resonance with the big vision. And for me, what I've kind of started to do is on those Fridays, I started with like really diving into my own self-care, deeper learning. But as I gave myself that time, what I noticed is I didn't just like fall asleep all day. I didn't just check out and like go on retirement for the day. Um, I was more engaged with things that I truly cared about, but that I maybe didn't feel like I could take the time to engage with in the work week.
Another idea that comes to mind in this questioning is what puzzle interests you? What game do you want to be playing? I've often heard business referred to as the coolest, largest, most impactful puzzle you could ever get your hands on, especially if you're in a leadership role. You have control over most of those pieces, at least the ones that are inside your business. And so I've actually found a lot of energy and just space from my own static in thinking about business as a game.
Hmm.
Angry customer email comes in. I actually had one just today with the company that I'm working closely with.
Not
Customer,
my company, different company.
the tech company, customer drops the F-bomb like within the preview of the email. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I wanna. It's like, you know what? What if this was just for fun? And it turns out, there's a whole other, that's just the way he talks. There's an entire uh nothing negative about it at all. He's just a passionate person. And so like by approaching it as a game and kind of, doing some shuffleboard instead of getting into the fight of business, there's more room to have fun with it and to actually say, how well can I play this game?
Yeah, and I think fundamentally, I like the idea of the game, but also, maybe just as a little bit of brain gymnastics, you can think about this is your life energy, this is your time. How do you really want to spend it? Having fun, playing games, that's definitely one of we value that. So that's going to work for people like Steve and I. Um, but maybe for you, it's like it is that big impact. It is wanting to change the face of the industry or disrupt the industry that you're in. The thing you would do if you had an abundance of time, an abundance of money, an abundance of energy. And I'm not saying like, sorry if you don't, too bad for you. But what I am saying is, even if that isn't your reality right now, it is good to think about that because it will inform often how you build your business. So often, we tend to follow someone else's rule book, someone else's playbook for how things get done. I have fallen into this myself. Steve has fallen into this. You kind of go through this formula, and I would say one of the worst things is that you find out that someone else's playbook works and you hate your business as a result. So, I will give an example for all the people out there who just send scammy AI written DMs and emails. You know, if you send 100,000 of those, you might get a client or two. But chances are you're also going to get 99,000 really negative responses that make you feel like you don't have any integrity, that people cancel your business. They don't want to have anything to do with you. They see your name and they will never work with you. That is like an unintended effect of just following something that someone else said was a good idea. When you're in retirement energy, you are going to be a little more free, a little more creative to say, how can I do this in a way that I feel good about, that's aligned with my values? You know, you don't have to go out and be, I don't know any retired people who are like, I've got to go out and be the expert gardener. I've got to have the biggest garden, the best garden, the most impressive garden. I know they probably
We
exist.
have some neighbors who may be thinking
Maybe are
that.
maybe thinking that, but
It's,
like they are enjoying their time
definitely.
while they do it. It's not like I have to have the most beautiful garden to win the award, to get the money, to do the thing. Like this whole ridiculous game that a lot of time, the ridiculous game that many businesses are playing, trying to carve something out, make it work, and then realize now I'm stuck with something I hate. So, bringing retirement energy in could mean that you give yourself more space to play.
And also, I think it does change the time horizon for things.
Hmm.
If you're sending out a million scammy emails, it's because you need those sales right now. And look, maybe your business does have cash flow needs. Businesses have cash
Every
flow
business has
needs.
cash flow
Um,
needs.
but building for the long term will get you those sales much more effectively than spamming everyone you can possibly get your hands on. So that retirement energy is more about like, what is the legacy I want to leave? What would make me proud? Um, you know, the challenge of being in that driver's seat is that it needs to be weighed against the cash flow pressures of the business. But there's a certain magic in building for quality and in delighting that one customer just so that you can't see where those ripple results will take you. You can't really forecast how effective this thing will be. You're just sort of doing it for yourself. You're doing it because it's the right thing. You're doing it because you're called to do it rather than, you're on the hamster wheel and you just have to get to the next thing.
Yeah, and we're not saying just ignore your cash flow or ignore your revenue lanterns or, don't worry, just make people happy and all will be well.
Because you're retired.
Yeah, because you're retired, but like if because you're not, maybe you're not retired. But what we are saying is consider how could you bring in some of that energy into your business and your life. Maybe you are in a season right now where cash is tight. A lot of businesses have been feeling like they're really struggling, and we're not making light of that. And we are not saying don't focus on what your business needs to thrive. But could you take half a day to let yourself be creative? And could you take 15 minutes to say, if these issues were solved, when these issues are solved, How do I want this to flow? How do I want this to be? How do I want this to feel? What would I do differently? For me, one of those really simple things was like, I wouldn't jump out of bed, open my laptop, and start working in the morning. I would take my time getting ready. I would go meditate. This morning, I did a workout pretty much right out of bed. It was a little bit too early for me, but it was fun to know that like I have that space that I can take my time slowly through the morning. I can, help get the kids out the door a little bit and still be ready, energized for my first client of the day and feel delighted to be there, to show up and give from like the purest energy that I have, being super present with the person in front of me because I didn't spend the first part of my morning stressing about getting out the next email and offering the book bonus and like, where are we going to give our next talk and what's the next podcast going to be about? Like, there was none of that. It was more of a flowing energy. And maybe that will just bring me to one more point. Um, I was definitely the kind of person who was very afraid of what my life would look like if it was not hyper scheduled. I love a schedule. I calendar. Um, but, I make that calendar for the most part. The only thing I'm really beholden to are like things with the kids. They get school ends at the same time every day. We got to be there. Clients expect me to show up on time. I got to be there. But outside of that, the way we do business is really largely based on us. And I had a big fear about not having direct accountability to get things done. I can say, after writing 4 books, co writing one with Steve and 3 others, running a business since 2018, having space and being in tune with what I want and need on a day to day basis, thinking about it like a game, like you said, um, where I'm just figuring out how to solve the next problem for my clients. What do they need? What would be helpful for them? How can I let this evolve? Solving those puzzles has made me much more consistent, actually. I don't struggle with like getting to my workout, getting to my meditations, um, getting my work done because I don't need that external motivation and deadline because I'm coming at it with another type of energy that's more focused on the impact that I want us and our business to have rather than what's the bottom line for this month.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That retirement energy that's focused on legacy, that's focused on things that really matter, rather than all the, you know, stuff that's vying for your attention, but ultimately isn't what's going to make the difference. I want to offer one last thought based on the retired people that I know. We live in a cute little village with a fair number of retired folks around here. And there's this one lady who is always walking. She must get 15,000 steps a day, maybe 20. She's just nonstop.
Even in the winter, she's
Done,
walking.
just bundled up, cleats on her boots, whatever. She is out there. And so just a little hack, a little trick that you can do is when you feel like you need that energy, just go for a little walk. Lunchtime, include a walk around the block. Meetings that would usually be on Zoom, take them on the phone, go for a little walk. Getting the blood flowing is a prime trick of lots of famous entrepreneurs, people who have built incredible businesses. They say, let's do this meeting as a walk and talk because that's how we're going to be most creative. Incorporate movement into your day.
Mm-hmm.
Retired people do it, so can working people. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be my thought there.
I love that. I do that with clients sometimes when they come here for retreats, but I've also been doing that with my own coach. I'm like, I have a friend, we coach each other and we go for a walk and we actually let the signs we see in nature inform sometimes what we talk about. It's had some cool like nature omens that wouldn't have had sitting at my desk, some pretty profound experiences and symbols out in the world. So, um, yeah, I encourage my own clients. If you want to take me for your next walk on your next coaching session, please do. So, yeah, I hope that this has helped you just really consider that even if it's periodic, even if it is just a thought experiment for you and it's not something that you can actually just overhaul everything and be a retired business owner, bring some retirement energy into your planning, into your day, into your business, and really create a business and a life that you are proud of, that feels good to you, that you are excited. My thought for the last couple of years is I get out of bed and I go to work, quote unquote, but it really doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm doing what I meant to do. I get really excited to do my work. So I want that for everybody. I know you feel the same way. You're like, you come in, you're like, I'm so pumped from talking to my people.
I do.
We want that for you too.
Do a little dance.
Yeah.
Feel free to do some
The
dancing.
day,
What is it? I think Nietzsche said any day where you did not dance was a day wasted. So let's all do a little
little
dance.
dance. Enjoy your a little bit of retirement sprinkling into your work life and your personal life. And if we can help you with that through coaching, through support, through our book Superabound, please do reach out. You can email us at hello@besuperabound.com, and you can find us on Instagram at besuperabound.
See you there.
Take care.